are you at 1st Street Southwest at 7th Avenue? He said, of course. He said, I told you that. And I said, well, just walk south on 1st Street Southwest and come down the back alley and come back up. Long story short, a few minutes later, he called again and he was at 1st Street Southeast. I should have realized there was a problem. There was something going on here, but anyway, 15 minutes later, he shows up. He's walking out funny, he's looking rather funny, and he's talking really funny. And we come into church and we go up the back stairs to Pastor Wayne's office, and he was having trouble navigating the stairs. My old policeman instincts kicked in and said, if this guy was driving a vehicle, I would like to check him and see what his blood alcohol was. Got into the office and there was quite a smell. It took about 3/4 of an hour to get him to admit that he had a drink or two just to settle his nerves before he came to see me. So, don't drink before you go to do your physical. It's not a good thing to do, particularly when you're in a recovery center. I shake my head. Anyway, he's going back to start step 1, and he'll work through 1, 2, 3, and do the 4, and maybe in a month or 2 we'll get to step 5. So that's the moral of the story. Is be sober when you go to do step 5. So step 9 is what we're talking on tonight, and it says make direct amends to such people whenever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. This step is a really big undertaking. It talks about making amends even to those people that we don't think we should, or that we don't want to, or that we're fearful to make amends to. We are required to repair the damage we've created in our past. Making amends means making a change, not just saying I'm sorry. How many times have we said, I'm sorry, I will never do that again, only to repeat our behavior, sometimes the very same day, but sometimes it takes 2 or 3 days later. Don't think Cheryl ever heard me say that. I'll never do that again, dear, I'll never get drunk again, and that night I'll never again. Our families and friends have heard the empty promises almost forever. It's time now to do something different, to rebuild the trust and turn things around. It's clear in the big book how we should do this. On page 76, it lays out what we need to do. Clearly we know that faith without works is dead. We have to take action. We have to do some movement. We have to do something to get this process going. We have to put into action what we know in our hearts what we need to do. We have subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal and listed all of those people that we have harmed and needed to make amends to. That we did in step 8, just before this. This list may include people, businesses, employers, employees, and anyone or anything else that we may have caused harm to. I can think of organizations, groups, all kinds of things that some of us need to make amends to. In the big book it says, now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We attempt to sweep away the debris which is accumulated out of our effort to live on our self-will and running the show ourselves. If we have the will to do this, then we ask through prayer and meditation to do it until that will comes. Sometimes it takes a long time, but eventually that will come. Will come if we ask for it. Remember we agreed in the beginning, we would go to any lengths for victory over alcohol. In how it works, it says, if you want what we have, but are willing to go to any lengths to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. And as you know, the step 9 is one of those certain steps. Making amends is the essential healing mechanism of the 12 steps that restores relationships and the principles of justice and fairness. Step 9 requires us to be fearless. Taking this step in some cases is more fearful than doing step 4 and doing step 5. It takes courage and determination to follow through. We need good support from our sponsors and our mentors, and when we can, from our families to accomplish the step. In this step, we make amends even if we're embarrassed or afraid. The only exception is if we feel an amends would harm the person we're making amends to, or other people around them. An old-timer once told me in a meeting in Three Hills that others could include ourselves, and in some instances it just might. Okay? When we cannot make amends, either because it would cause more harm, because the person is deceased, or because we cannot locate them, we still remain willing to make that amends, and we do so in our prayers. We do so by writing letters, and we do so by journaling. We don't ignore them or forget about them because we can't contact them. Making amends is cleansing. Once we are cleansed, we do our daily maintenance. We review every day, when necessary, take steps to keep up with our emotional debt. Step 9 completes what we started in Step 8. We make amends to those we have harmed. We pay back debts we owe. We apologize. We write letters. We find the time to do and say things that would help heal the damage that we have done. We try to bring goodness where previously we had brought discord and destruction. It takes insight, courage, and dedication to make such amends. But now we have the help of our higher power, the God of our understanding, to know what to do and how to do it. We start to live the kind of life that our higher power has meant us to live all along. As many of you know, that Teresa and I, and now David, are working with the Calgary Drug Treatment Court. The two basic fundamental principles of that program are honesty and accountability. And those are two basic principles we should likely all strive to live by in our lives, whether we're in drug court or not. When our men and women go out looking for work, as they do after treatment, we require them to tell their future employers that they actually do have a criminal record, that they are in the Calgary Drug Treatment Program, and that they have some addiction problems. One of our participants came to me some time ago, and was talking about that issue. And he said, I have a problem. He said, I really don't want to be honest. I don't want to tell these guys that I have a criminal record and that I have a past. He said, they won't hire me. So we talked about that for quite a while. We went through why he would be a good asset to any company at this point in time in his life because of what he's doing. And it so happened that I received a call from another participant while we were in that meeting who was having some issues. During that conversation, the young fellow said, you know what, my employer is looking for more guys, so if there's any more drug court guys, they should apply. He gave me the name and the phone number for the contact of that company. I gave it to the fellow I was talking to, and he got a funny look in his face, and he kind of went white, and he laughed a little bit, and he said, I would never get hired by this company. And I said, why not? He said, my last relapse, I was working for them. I went out, I never called them back, I never showed back up for work. He said they would never, ever consider hiring me. So we, again, processed that, talked about it. We talked about what an asset he would be to any company today in his clean condition, the fact that he's working hard on this program, he's a different guy. Before he left, he phoned the office of that company, made an appointment to see the boss, and went that afternoon. Phoned me back 2 hours later, he had got the job. And he got the job precisely because he was honest and he took accountability for his behavior. He made an amends to that employer, and the employer said, you know what, I've never seen such a change in a person, and absolutely, I will hire you, and if you have more friends in that program, tell them to call me too. Honesty and accountability, making the amends, and just laying it out the way it is, it really, really does work. Making amends is the best way to restore justice between people who have hurt each other. We talk to our sponsor, our mentors, and we get some good advice on how to handle each of these amends. Each and every one might take a special way of handling them. Some we should talk to, some we shouldn't. But our sponsors and our mentors can guide us through that. We have to be aware of those that we may cause more harm to, or some that might not be safe for us to contact. You know, I can think of some simple examples for guys in particular who sometimes have got some lady friends on their list, and they might go back a number of years. I'm sure those ladies likely don't want to be resurfacing in their lives now that they've maybe got a new husband, a new boyfriend, families. We want to be careful in who we make the amends to. I know some of us, I shouldn't say us because I haven't, but I know some have been involved in drug deals in town and whatnot, and there are people that we shouldn't go make amends to, because it could be hazardous to our own life. It could be very unsafe for us. We have to be discreet, and we have to get good advice on who we are going to make those amends to. The whole purpose of making amends for us is to get straight with the universe, to enable us to stop carrying the guilt and the shame associated with our past behaviors. It's to start the healing process and to bring our family and friends back into our life. In the scripture, I didn't put it up, it's Philippians 2, verses 3 and 4. It talks about not being selfish. It says, don't live to make good impressions on others. When we're trying to impress other people, our ego is taken over, and we will not be very honest. We'll wear a mask and try to put on a show to impress other people. It says in the scripture, be humble, thinking of others as better than yourself. Don't think only about your own affairs, but be interested in others too, and what they are doing. It's amazing what happens when we put other people first. When we take a sincere interest in what others are doing and what's going on in their lives, they suddenly take an interest in our lives. We suddenly lose selfish interest, self-centeredness, and we become humble. Showing love to our friends and our enemies brings love to us. I have always believed, I've always preached that we get what we give. So if we smile at people, people normally smile back at us. If we're grumpy and ugly, then people are normally grumpy and ugly back. So we want to be careful what we're projecting and what we're giving out. We're never an island unto ourselves. We're part of the whole. We're part of the whole universe. We're part of this church community. We're part of Calvary. We're part of the province. We need to be cognizant of that, and we need to live in harmony with it in our loving communities. When others hurt, we hurt. Likewise, when we hurt, others hurt. Early in recovery, we have to be somewhat self-centered to concentrate on our own welfare and just to stay sober. Once we have started growing in our recovery, we need to move beyond self-centeredness and become interested in others. Part of making amends to others is showing them that we have changed. Just like that young man did to his employer, he showed that he had changed physically and mentally, and he moved forward. As we love others, we find that others love us. It's a strange concept, but it's also true. When that starts to happen, our relationships grow stronger, and our addictions will lose their grip on us. Making amends is a very fearful activity. I don't know about you, but being humble enough to make amends takes courage and determination. We need support from our sponsor, but most importantly, we need to go back and visit our third step and turn our will over to our higher power and ask for his help on each and every amends that we're going to take. We need to ask his help in setting the priorities and help with the courage to move forward, taking action. I suppose we need to look at the reasons why we should make amends. Why should we rid ourselves of resentments? As we know, holding on to resentments is the largest reason that alcoholics and addicts go back out. It says in the big book that our resentments keep us separated from a power greater than ourselves. We must eliminate them if we are to have a spiritual awakening. When we do not get rid of the resentments, it's like we shut ourselves off from the sunlight of the Spirit. The insanity of alcohol returns and we drink again. To drink again means death. With most of us, to drink is to die. The big book instructs us to look at what our part was in each of the resentments. We must put out of our minds what the others have done to us and look at what our part was in that particular incident. We must look where we have been selfish, dishonest, self-seeking, frightened, or fearful. This is called cleaning our side of the street. We had to look at where we were to blame and what our part was in each and every incident. Take accountability for it, admit our wrongs honestly, and be willing to set these matters straight. The shortcomings of selfishness, dishonesty, self-seeking, and fear are based on our self-will, not on God's will. God's will, let's be more like unselfishness, honesty, purity, and love. Concerning our resentments, the big book authors provide us specific instructions on what to do. We must go beyond the resentments if we expect to live long or happily in this world. If we have faith that God will keep us safe and protected, we will receive the strength and direction to overcome all of our fears, including the fear of making amends. We overcome fear with faith. Therefore, according to the authors of the Big Book, faith is the asset that corresponds to the liability of fear. Just in closing, I'm going to close a little bit earlier tonight, just in closing, I want to encourage everyone to do their amends. That doesn't end the process. We need to check our behaviors every day when required, promptly make amends to keep our side of the street clean at all times. Always keeping in mind that we don't want to cause more harm to other people. If we're diligent with this part of our program, the promises will start to come true. I know many of you have experienced that. The promises do come true if we work for them, but you have to do the work. As we read every day, and we did just a while ago, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but they will always materialize if we work for them. Just like to join me in the step 9 prayer. No, we're going to do the 9 and then the 7. Never, can't change anything around here, guys. It happens every time. No, I just thought at the end, you know, but just hold that. Hold that thought, that's okay. Step 9 prayer is, higher power, I pray for the right attitude to make my amends, being ever mindful not to harm others in the process. I ask for your guidance in making indirect amends. Most important, I will continue to make amends by staying abstinent, helping others, and growing in spiritual progress. Amen. Now, join with me, please, in step 7 prayer. My Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. I pray that you now remove from me every single defect of character that stands in the way of my usefulness to you and my fellows. Grant me strength as I walk from here to do your bidding. Amen. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, forever and ever. Amen. Go and have a good week. Make your amends. God bless.